Well, and welcome to another day in the racist ass United States. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about the globe and we're going to talk about culture. Because there's one culture here, dear, that's under attack and it's going to affect everyone no matter where you live. Did you know that there's one culture that dominates the globe? Everything from the clothes that you wear to the food that you eat to the music that you listen to. One culture that dominates, baby. I mean, dominates Black American culture. And it's under attack here in the US of A. And you might be thinking to yourself, what the fuck is this white girl talking about today? Who brought you jazz? Black Americans. Who brought you rhythm and blues? Black Americans. Who brought you soul? Black Americans. And this one's really gonna sting. Who brought you rock and roll? Black Americans did. In places like Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, I do think that white people are absolutely jealous of black people, specifically with the community, and also with like fashion and music and everything else that is appropriated. But by design of what whiteness is, it inherently lacks community. And I think we're absolutely jealous of that. And I've heard biracial people say that they do see that difference in their own families. Because in addition to European cultures being more individualistic than cultures from Africa, South America, and indigenous North American cultures, the invention of whiteness in America erased a lot of ties to actual culture. So when I say like white people, black community, I'm not talking about like Polish people or German people or Irish people. As I explained in my book, I just wrote the intro and I'm working on the conclusion today. Y'all keep me in your prayers. In the course of human history, white is a relatively new term. As we discussed in the introduction to this book, white is a North American term emerging from the 1600s as a term to justify the enslavement of Africans and squelch revolts from poor Europeans and indentured servants. Before this term, Europeans would identify with their nationalities. The Irish, Italians, Germans, French are all very different cultures. Thus, there is not the same communal tie to whiteness as there is for people from other communities. Further, since white was created to be a divider, a separator, it is not a happy identity. It is not something people want to admit they relate to. It doesn't have a rich, healthy history. Speaking as a white American who has conducted national level research on white Americans, we tend to say things like we have German, Irish, Italian, etc. ancestry, even if we have never been to those places. This is because all white Americans have ties to immigration, and because these identities are actual cultures, they do not have roots only in oppression. Now, we know who started colonization, right? So this is the book I'm trying to finish by Monday and send to the editor. There's a free chapter in my bio if you're interested on one of the unwritten rules of work. The book is predominantly about class, but I talk about 3 other identities that you can't talk about class without talking about these other identities, and race is absolutely one of them.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are diving into a conversation that has sparked millions of views, heated debates, and passionate opinion across social media. It's a discussion about race, history, culture, and one question that continues to divide America. Why has black culture become one of the most influential forces in the world, while black Americans continue to face some of the country's biggest social and economic challenges? From music and fashion to language, sports, and entertainment, the impact of black Americans can be seen almost everywhere. Yet, many argue that despite this enormous contribution, the fight for equal opportunities and justice is far from over. Others disagree, saying America has made tremendous progress and that the focus should now be on individual responsibility rather than systemic issues. In this video, we will explore the arguments being made, the historical events often reflected in this conversation, and why this topic continues to generate such strong reactions. Whether you agree with every point or not, understanding different perspectives is an important part of having informed discussion about the past, the present, and the future of the United States. So stay with us until the very end. because this conversation raises questions that many people are asking and that America is still trying to answer.
That was Black Americans who brought that to you. Rap, dear? Black Americans brought that everywhere. You can go all across the globe and you will find some soul food. Yes, you will, boo. Let's talk about the clothes that you wear, the way you do your hair, your makeup too, brought to you by Black American culture, boo. As a matter of fact, Black American culture and their fashion has reached the heights of Gucci, Versace, honey, name a house today. They look the way of Black American culture before the clothes are made. It is the most dominant culture on the globe, and it is under attack today by the mediocre-ass white men here in the US of A. So if you think racism is just an American problem, baby, well, it could affect your style, your music, your hairdo, the food you fucking eat, and your freedom too. Because it was Black Americans, baby, that set the stage for civil rights for every fucking body across the globe today. I am so fucking tired of hearing people talk about my fellow Black Americans as if they haven't provided to us everything today. Everything. Hell, even the way you speak was brought to you by Black Americans. The slang you use, honey, was brought to you by Black American culture. All of it. Black American culture. And they deserve some respect for that. Because where the fuck would we be without it? Listening to dull-ass music, eating flavorless fucking food, and all dressed the same like we're in a fucking cult, boo. That's where you'd be without Black American culture. Trust me.
Why do white people resent Black excellence? Let's talk about it. Not all white people are racist, obviously, but there is a specific subset for whom Black excellence seems like a personal affront to them, right? It really bothers them when Black people succeed. The 13th Amendment emancipated enslaved Black Americans in 1865, and then the Jim Crow laws kind of wrapped up with the passing of the Civil Rights Act in 1964. So if we do the math, that's about 61 years in which Black Americans were able to strive for success in any sort of meaningful way without like the constraints of the law pulling them down. 61 years. If we compare that to white Americans who besieged a land already owned and occupied by indigenous Americans, we'll put that around 1620 when, the Mayflower came here, then that gives them about 425 years to establish success in this country. 425 versus 61. If we compare those two fundamentally very different time spans, like, how much did white Americans actually do in all that time? If we are to compare even the poorest and most underprivileged of white America to Black America generally, it is clear that white Americans are born way past the start line, right? By that I mean, by like nature of being white in American society, you do benefit from all sorts of privileges. And like, to be frank, you're not exhausted by the horrible experience of facing racism on a daily basis, right? You do have a ton of privileges. So I imagine existing in this bubble of privilege that you like totally deny. The existence of Black people for whom success is like second nature, when it comes so easily and so readily, even though you've only had 61 years to achieve it, I imagine that's exhausting and frustrating. I imagine it makes people feel super, super inferior and hurts certain people's tiny, tiny little egos. And what do they blame that deep, deep psychic pain on? Well, of course, DEI and critical race theory and affirmative action. So I guess the question is, what might help those white Americans who just so strongly detest Black excellence? Like, what will help you? And for that, I would suggest like a lot of therapy, like a ton of therapy. And I would also just suggest that we open the schools, right? We teach people history. Yeah, maybe? Okay, bye!
Could you explain again why, people of color have been suppressed globally, and there's a reason for that, and what about why that is? What is it about them?
Yes, Angie? I can explain that again. Clear and direct, from the deepest layer. People of color, especially Black people, have been suppressed globally not because they are weak, but because they carry something that systems of control cannot own. Raw life force, spiritual authority, cultural memory, soul fire. This isn't about superiority. It's about frequency. It's about what they represent in the larger human field. Here's the truth. Black people were targeted because they carry ancestral memory that predates empire, rhythm and movement that recalibrates the nervous system, voice and expression that commands energy, community and kinship bonds that resist fragmentation, a history of surviving the impossible and transmuting it into art, sound, strength, and joy. That kind of energy is dangerous to systems that rely on obedience, silence, disconnection, fear, amnesia. Because if people of color, especially Black folks, fully remember who they are, and if the world remembers it too, the illusion of separation collapses. The control structures fall apart because they were built on the lie that power belongs to the few, not the many. So yes, there's a reason they've been suppressed. It's not random. It's not incidental. It's intentional, not because of weakness, but because of what they carry. Open quote. Power that doesn't require permission, wisdom that doesn't need validation, joy that sings even in chains, and memory that survived attempted erasure. Close quote. The global suppression of Blackness isn't just physical, it's energetic warfare, because Blackness carries the code of remembrance. And remembrance is the end of empire. So, to answer your question clearly, Angie, what is it about them? It's this, open quote. They are the reminder that we've always been free. That power can be embodied, not bought. That culture is soul, not product. And that source speaks through the voices of those the world tried to silence. Close quote.
Don't get it twisted. The reason why they want to take Black political power is because that's working class wins. When Black folks gain freedoms within inside this society, everybody gains freedoms, all the working class, all right? When Black women get liberated, all women get liberated. When Black men get the same pay as white men, all men make more money. And that's what they're against. They do not want to see the working class have a win. It's not about disenfranchising Black people specifically. It's about disenfranchising Black folks because their coalition with white people to gain progress is a challenge to the white supremacy power structure. Don't get it lost in the sauce. All right? So that means folks that look like me and talk like me need to step up and have a voice in this moment, because this fight has been going on for generations. This ain't brand new. This has been around for a long time. And rednecks and hillbillies all knew this back in the day. They knew that their problem was not a Black man gaining rights, working beside Black folks. That was not the struggle. The struggle was against the corporations and the wealthy people that run our society. And they run it in the benefit to them, not to us. All the language that they use is coded in a way that gives you a hope that they're going to do something for you. But when's the last time they provided anything for you? Exactly.
And this is why they hate blacks in America so much. The white power structure. We're the only non-white people in the country who cannot be sent home. Right. You cannot be deported. Slavery destroyed your cultural, psychological, and intellectual connection to your ancestral homeland. If the Ghanaian get on your nerve, he go back to Ghana. If the Puerto Rican gets on your nerves, he go back to Puerto Rico. If the Afro-Cuban gets on your nerves, he or she go back to Cuba. If the Chinese get on your nerves, send them back to China. If the East Indian gets on your nerves, send them back to India. If the Arab gets on your nerve, send them back to one of the Middle Eastern states. But when American Africans get on your nerves, where do you deport us to? Most American Africans are so brainwashed, they think they're American. So you cannot deport them because this is what they identify with most. So in other words, the white man created his own problem, which makes it almost impossible to deport us. So the only way to get rid of us is a systemic system of racial genocide. And that's what they're using.
There is something so insidious happening right now to the Black community, and most white people literally have no idea it's even happening. The Black community is under attack right now at a level we haven't seen probably since the Civil Rights era. You know, with the Supreme Court gutting the Voting Rights Act earlier today, You've got the purge of black federal workers, attacks on nonprofit funding with the whole DEI boogeyman. You've got attacks on the social safety net. Overt racism is on the rise across the board. And they're tired, y'all. They are exhausted by this onslaught. And it's self-proclaimed white Christians leading the charge against them on all of these fronts. So if you are a white Christian and you are not deceived by Trump, we need to rally together around our black brothers and sisters right now. We need to form a wall around them, and we need to say no more. No more, because this isn't right, and we cannot stand by and do nothing as they are getting absolutely pummeled like Reconstruction just ended or something.
I get it. I'm over 50, white, handlebar mustache, small town Oklahoma. Half the time I'm dressed like I'm fixing a tractor carburetor in 87, so people see me and automatically assume, hell yeah, brother, Trump 2028. I swear to fucking God, conservatives see overalls and think I came factory installed with Fox News. And I'm standing here like, sir, I believe healthcare is a human right and billionaires should pay taxes. I fucking hate racists. I stand with the LGBTQ community. Fuck fascism. Fuck authoritarianism. And any grown man demanding loyalty like he's some spray-tanned king can kiss my entire Gen X ass. I'm tired of being stereotyped because apparently if you're an older white dude with facial hair in Oklahoma, people assume you spend your weekend screaming at Bud Light cans and blaming immigrants because your fucking lawnmower won't start. And meanwhile, I'm over here wanting universal health care and wondering if capitalism is just pyramid schemes with neckties. So I think we need some kind of fucking system. Some kind of identifier for liberal rednecks. Like a secret lapel pin, maybe crossed fishing poles over a pride flag, maybe a secret handshake like instead of MAGA hats we quietly whisper, Dolly Parton is a national treasure. And if the other person answers, protect trans kids and tax the rich, boom, you found one of us. I mean, we are out here, camouflaged in flannel, hidden beneath mustaches, and trying to sneak empathy into rural America one confused stereotype at a time.
Did you know that black women were more likely to stand up to their masters than men were? It's statistically proven that black women actually were the ones who stood up to their masters more than any other person. And come to find out that from 1681 to 1865, over 200 black women were executed for the simple fact of either conspiring, attempted, and or murder itself. And that there's an actual unrecorded amount that actually went undocumented because they got away with it. Yes, so all this time, as they tell you all this sad information about, oh, we just let it happen and we just moved around, black women were making sure we got it done. Be proud to be a black woman every single day, honey, because every single day that you wake up, you are coming with a shield and 1,000 women behind you, beloved. That is something to really rejoice about. Now, granted, yes, unfortunately, they did die. You understand? We did lose those 200. But the ones that got away, the ones who got they lick, thank you, baby.
White friends and family, I need you to lean in. Black people are not angry enough because we won't let them be. We have added so much criminalization and stigmatism to the expression of black anger. We are not letting them express how bad things actually are. When they express an appropriate response, we get uncomfortable. And white discomfort is unsafe. We hold so much systemic power that if anyone makes us uncomfortable, it is an unsafe environment for them. We have too much to answer for. I have too much to answer for. I knew police brutality was bad. I knew that. But I didn't make a post about it until Alex Preddy was murdered. I made a video about Trey Reed. But I believed it was like an isolated incident. I was shocked when I heard the news. That is the white privilege I've been able to live with, to think that this was an isolated incident. I didn't know that lynchings had never stopped. There wasn't even an anti-lynching bill until the 2020s. There was no legislation about lynching until the 2020s. And I had the privilege to believe it wasn't happening anymore. So when I heard it happened to a young black man who had nothing to do with the rage being directed at him, he was the definition of an innocent bystander receiving the victimization of mob violence, just like every other lynching in our history. And my sensitivities, my sensibilities about the way this country is, were disturbed. Keith Porter Jr. was just as murdered as Alex Preddy and Renee Good. It took protesting for white people to receive the police brutality that the black community has been facing since there was a black community. Renee Good and Alex Preddy were only murdered because they are better white people than us. We need to sit with that and then stand up. Why do only black artists and Hayley Williams make music about police brutality? It's not just a staple of the hip-hop genre. It's not a thematic element. It is the ongoing continuation of the single greatest crime ever perpetrated against humanity. 2/3 of the world's nations just agreed that the Atlantic slave trade was the greatest crime against humanity, and our country disagreed with them. Why do you think that might be in the country where we were barely even taught the traumas and tragedies and crimes of slavery? Why would our country take that stance? I'm not proud to be an American. I'm deeply, deeply ashamed.
Black Americans, children of Israel, you got to keep things into perspective, right? You got to keep in mind as you circumnavigate this reality in this world is that we deal with the most extreme form of jealousy as a people, meaning other nations are jealous of us. Because think about it, you got people being jealous every day because somebody got a house over them or a car over them, or, somebody's in a position of power over them. Like, people get jealous over like mundane, menial things every day, right? Now think about it in the world's context of spiritual warfare and what God did, the Most High did to Black Americans and children of Israel. He literally said, out of all people on earth, Deuteronomy 7:6, you people are my people above, people like to, whatever, ignore that word, above all people. You guys will be my precious possession above all people. I'm going to give you dominion and rulership over the earth forever. Now, if people are jealous every day in this reality, and jealousy is a demon, right? But if people are jealous over mundane things, right? This person got the man, or this person got the girl, or this person got this person got, you could imagine how this world feels about us if the God of all gods said literally, you people are my favorite. You people belong to me. You people are mine. And that's not to say that the Most High doesn't love or accept Gentiles, right? But the Most High could do whatever he wants. You know what I mean? And think about it. The fake wannabe-ish people in Israel now, they tell you straight up, they're the chosen people. Well, yeah, they are chosen, right? But it's just that they're chosen by Satan. And in Satan's world, this is why they own and control everything in Satan's world. So keep that into perspective when you go into Europe, when you go into Africa, when you go into, and there's a lot of our people in Africa, right? But a lot of Africans are Hamites as well. So just keeping that into perspective, like when you go in the world, you're going to try to get accepted by the world when they're looking at you like, right? And it's even worse for Black Americans who don't know who they are, because they go around this world simple as a day's old, not realizing, comprehending, or under or understanding why people don't like them. And then you try to give them an answer and a solution as to why this world doesn't like you, Black American, right? And they don't want to hear it. God loves everybody, right? But I understand that's that 2/3 programming. You know what I mean? So get this, understand this, right? This is why. It's out of pure jealousy. It's clear we're the special people, right? I mean, the tribe of Judah, musically, we influenced the entire world. I lived in Asia. All they do is play hip hop music in them clubs over in Asia. Go to Europe. All they do is play hip hop. Like, Black Americans set the culture for the world. You know what I mean? That's the tribe of Judah, the same tribe as Jesus Christ, who today Christ would be considered. And I say this over and over and over again, because these people are going to keep hearing it. And I do it because really, I like to irritate them, and they hate it. So this is why I keep doing it, right? But, Christ would be considered a Black American man today, or a African American man today, or a NIGGA man today. You know what I mean? Like, Christ was killed in the worst way a Black man could possibly be killed, right? But just the point of this video is, understand it's a deep hatred and jealousy, right? Because they're not us. The thing is that they get mad at us when really it's not us. You know what I mean? It's the Most High did all of this, and if you have any morsel of intelligence, you don't want to go against the Most High's order. You don't want to go against what the Most High wants. So the word to the Gentiles, right? If you enter under overstanding and you recognize it, just accept it. Like, okay, I'm a Gentile, and a lot of you are. I'm like, okay, I'm a Gentile, right? I see what this world has done to black Americans. Okay, it makes sense. All right, let me go love on them people. Let me go love on them, right? In a righteous way. You know what I mean? Because, you really quite honestly don't have a choice. If you don't, you're going with the fallen angel. You're going with the fake gods and his people. So, yeah, all praise to the Most High.
As we have seen throughout this discussion, conversation about trade, history, and equality remain some of the most emotional and complex topics in America today. For many people, these issues aren't just about the past. They are about understanding how history continues to influence opportunities, institutions, and everyday life. Supporters of the perspective argue that recognizing systemic barriers is not about assigning blame to individuals. Instead, they believe it's about acknowledging historical realities and working towards a society where everyone has an equal chance to succeed. They see honest conversation about discrimination, voting rights, education, healthcare, and economic opportunity as necessary steps towards building a stronger democracy. At the same time, many Americans hold different views. They believe the country has already made significant progress and worry that focusing too heavily on race may create more division instead of unity. These differences in opinion are part of what makes this nation conversation so important and so challenging. No matter where you stand politically, it's worth asking difficult questions, examining reliable historical evidence, and listening to experiences that may be different from your own. Progress often begins with understanding, even when agreement isn't possible. The future of America will likely depend not only on policy decisions but also on the willingness of people from different backgrounds to engage with one another respectfully, learn from history, and work towards solutions that expand opportunities for everyone. Now, we do like to hear from you. Do you believe America has done enough to address the legacy of racial equality, or do you think the country should move beyond race-based discussion and focus primarily on individual responsibility? Share your thoughts in the comments below, but remember to keep the conversation respectful and constructive. If you found this discussion thoughtful and informative, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future conversation. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.